development with the Habitat Company. We're so delighted that you're all here today. The weather cooperated, and we've got a wonderful group of guests here today to speak about a wonderful project. We're here today to celebrate 3 important investments in North Lawndale. Collectively, they comprise the Ogden Commons complex and represent over $100 million in investment in North Lawndale since the year 2000. We can clap. Ogden Commons, which includes the One Lawndale Medical Center and Phase 1 OC Living residential, home of Miss Lyman, and OC Living 2, which will break ground later this fall. This project is an unusual joint venture between a private development company and a hospital, the Habitat Company and Mount Sinai Hospital. The One Lawndale Center, which is a new outpatient surgical center, GI lab and dialysis center for Mount Sinai and its patients. Also at the One Lawndale, some of the first new restaurants in the area in many years, the wonderful La Cathédrale. I hope you all can go there for lunch sometime. And Momentum Coffee, which does a great job as well, and we're really thrilled to have both in the development in the neighborhood. And second, as I said, the 2 OC Living phases that are one open, one coming, and where these trees are, we'll have a 3rd phase that we'll be sending over to Ida in the not too distant future. But with that, I would like to introduce Charlton Hamer, Senior Vice President for Affordable Housing at the Habitat Company. Thank you all.
Good morning. Good morning. Again, welcome to Ogden Commons, as what we've branded as OC Living. So not too long ago, this was just a grassy area and gravel, and now look, it's amazing actually. So today is a significant day in the North Lawndale community as we celebrate the grand opening of this 92-unit mixed income housing development. The Habitat Company is incredibly proud to partner with Sinai Health System, Lawndale Real Estate, and the Chicago Housing Authority on this transformative project that embodies our collective commitment to reinvigorating North Lawndale. This is just the beginning. The first phase of residential development, now leasing, and the upcoming 2nd phase will provide a total of 167 much-needed, decent, safe, and affordable homes in the city of Chicago. At the Habitat Company, we have a long-standing tradition of building stronger, more resilient communities where individuals and families have the opportunity to grow, thrive, and prosper. The completion of this residential phase, which follows our initial phase, immediately to the south is the building you see there, which expanded Sinai's Care Campus, marks a significant milestone in our comprehensive redevelopment plan. With the addition of these residential units, we are contributing to a holistic vision for North Lawndale where accessible healthcare, diverse housing options, and community amenities come together to support a vibrant neighborhood. This project has been made possible by the dedicated efforts of many stakeholders. I'd like to acknowledge a few of our partners, including Solomon Cordwell and Benz, the Illinois Housing Development Authority, the City of Chicago, McHugh Construction, BOA Construction, Bank of America, and many others who have played a vital role in bringing this vision to reality. So I see a lot of folks here from the Habitat Company. So can you either stand or raise your hand, please? And there are 4 people that I want to give special note to. Dave Mavis. Lillian Ewell. Mike Pearson. Where's Mike? You raise his hand? Oh, there he is. Okay. And Jeffrey Hubbard, who took us on the tour. So, these are people who've worked very long hours. They touch this building on a daily basis. And again, we applaud you. Again, thank you to everyone involved for your hard work, dedication, and shared vision. Together, we look forward to fostering a prosperous community. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlton. And I also wanted to acknowledge some special guests that are here, not up on the dais here. Representative Morris, Senator Collins, raise your hand, and Commissioner Deborah Parker. We're honored that you all could join us. Next, I'd like to introduce the president of Mount Sinai Hospital, Dr. Ezike.
Good morning, everyone, on this gorgeous, gorgeous day. I'm Dr. Ngozi Ezike, so proud to be the president and CEO of Sinai Chicago, and ecstatic to be here today to celebrate the entirety of our Ogden Commons project. It was over 15 years ago that Sinai had a vision to replace the vacant buildings and the empty lots along Ogden Avenue, and wanted to address the health equity through inclusion, innovation, and investment in our community. And our communities, as you already know, carry a disproportionate share of all the ills, the poverty, the hunger, higher rates of heart disease, cardiovascular disease, asthma, not to mention that the unemployment rates are 3 times that of the rest of Chicago. So from that as the start, the vision for the project was to move beyond our physical walls and to provide the critical health and social services by forming creative partnerships. And as a partnership, we could tackle some important community-focused initiatives to bring investment in housing, to bring commercial space, to bring jobs to the community. You know, we know that to thrive means to have healthy lives and economic well-being, and that means creating these types of opportunities. You can't do it alone. No one can do anything alone. And so being able to bring together this innovative public-private mix of partners with a shared interest in promoting health equity. We've got the City of Chicago, we've got the Chicago Housing Authority, we've got our next door neighbors at CineSpace Studios Chicago, and Habitat Company. Habitat shared Sinai's mission and purpose to create a lasting positive impact in the neighborhood. And they were committed to community engagement and making sure that it served the needs of North Lawndale, not only with healthcare, but also the economic opportunity and increasing the quality of life. And together, we've done just that. We have brought not only the first new outpatient surgical facilities to the area in more than 2 decades, but also the new restaurants, a bank, office space, and now much needed affordable housing. Yeah. And all the while creating jobs that build the local economy. For decades, our community has not seen new, modern facilities like we have right now at Ogden Commons, but we deserve that. And working with Habitat and our other partners, we have been able to provide something much more than buildings. These beautiful spaces and edifices and new homes provide dignity, and they provide care, and they provide hope. Today, we welcome new families to OC Living, and not just to their homes, but to our collective community. And we break ground for additional housing for future families. We look forward to serving all of them across the street at Sinai Chicago. We have a historic opportunity to transform our city. Improved health, education, housing, employment, all of those are the ingredients for the secret sauce to create greater vitality and an opportunity for everyone to have a stronger and better future in Chicago. This is a moment of hope. We are excited for the brighter future for every single person in healthcare, in government, in education, in business. I want to seize this feeling of hope. It is a powerful tool, and it's our most precious commodity in the difficult times. It gives us a reason to believe. It gives us a reason to move forward, to press onward, and to look ahead to those better days, even when you're not in them yet. It also brings us all together, and it's the message that inspires, and it's what makes us human. So this is not just soaring rhetoric. This hope is what results in days like today, where it's not just a vision, but now we can see and touch and feel the tangible outcomes of our work to advance equity and look forward to even more progress to come. I'm so grateful for the partners in this work who share the belief that every single person deserves the opportunity to live their very best life. We look forward to continuing our collective work together to bring down barriers and make this the best Chicago for every single Chicagoan. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ezike. Next, I'd like to ask Chris Nash from the Bank of America to join us.
Terrific speech, Doctor. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. What a wonderful day to be celebrating such a wonderful occasion. 80-degree temperatures in late September with the Chicago winter looming is a terrific proposition. But something tells me even if it was 32 degrees out with the stiff wind off the lake, our hearts would be warm today. And for that, we have so much to be thankful for. First and foremost, thank you, Habitat. Anyone who spends 5 minutes within the affordable housing industry understands that this day doesn't come easily. You are a terrific partner, and I am grateful for the relationship. A special shout out to Lillian Ewell and Dave Mavis. We couldn't have closed this transaction without your steady hands, thoughtful leadership, and well-timed humor. And I think it was the well-timed humor that really got the deals closed, frankly. One quick story about Lillian. I loved working with her. It was a random Thursday, like month 6 of the closing process. And a couple bank employees are on a call with just Lillian and Dave. And Lillian turns to us and says, and very casually says, "Hey guys, just a heads up, but I'm taking Friday and Monday off." And it's very unlike her. She was, a steady hand, always on the job. And being the nosy investor I am, I said, "Well, for what reason?" And she turns to us and says, "I'm getting married." Yeah, it was hilarious. And so anybody that doesn't think that Habitat's a gracious employer, she got 48 hours off to celebrate one of the most meaningful days of her life. And I'm only kidding, of course, but this is a testimony to Lillian's commitment, Dave's commitment, Habitat's commitment, and it's frankly what it takes to get these deals done. You don't take many vacations until the deals are done. But it's also testimony to the fact that Lillian has a very accommodating and understanding husband. I'd also like to thank Ayumi Martinez and Kasha Blechschmidt from my team. They couldn't be with us today, but it's because of their work that and their shoulders that I stand here today. I'd like to thank McHugh Construction. It isn't easy meeting deadlines in an inflationary market and during a Chicago winter. Excellent job. I'd like to thank all the dignitaries and agencies represented here today. Your presence within the deal and your presence here today is a powerful demonstration of the commitments this city and state has to building and preserving affordable housing at a time when it has never been more important to do so. None of this happens without public leadership and partnerships. Thank you very much. Bank of America is honored to play a small part in both Ogden A1 and Ogden A2. We take our approximately $70 million commitment to these two deals, its residents, and the North Lawndale community very seriously. We will continue to lead on the private side of these partnerships. Lastly, and most importantly, congratulations to the 167 residents, one of which, or at least one of which is here today, who will be fortunate enough to call Ogden A1 and A2 home. It is my sincere hope that it becomes just that. Thank you all very much.
Wonderful, Chris. Thank you so much. Next, we're very honored to have the City of Chicago's Commissioner of Housing, Lizette Castaneda.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. It is an honor to stand along so many esteemed colleagues in the housing sector. We have so much to celebrate today. First, I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the teams at Habitat, Sinai, and Lawndale Real Estate. A grand opening and a groundbreaking on the same day is an enormous undertaking. While I am grateful to speak on behalf of the Department of Housing in support of this project, I acknowledge that it takes numerous hands and minds to bring an event like this to fruition. Kudos to all of you. Affordable, safe, and healthy homes are the cornerstone of every development in which DOH is involved. We see this exemplified in this phase 1, where 90% of the 92 units are affordable. I am pleased to share that in Ogden Commons phase 2, out of the 75 promised units, 57 will be available at rates affordable to families earning no more than 60% of the area median income. Sometimes it can be really hard to picture what is 60% AMI. And this morning, as I toured the facility with the mayor and others, we got to meet those folks. We got to meet the neighbors. It's the folks who have been in this community for more than 60 years. It's the folks who relocated from the south side to the west side. It's the folks that we care for in our communities that are going to get to live here. Moreover, I often say you cannot build housing on an island. Housing cannot be alone without all of the other supports that individuals and families need to thrive. Thanks to the hard work of all of these dedicated individuals, families will be connected to the things that they need to thrive, including essential services from Sinai Hospital. They will enjoy a space where children can play and share scenic, manicured outdoor spaces along walkways connecting them between the phases. By making strategic investments like these, we are doing more than providing homes for Chicagoans. We are contributing to the creation of thriving communities. These revitalized communities in turn become safer and serve as beacons of opportunity. It is DOH's honor and responsibility to address the historical, racist disinvestment policies and barriers that have hindered neighborhoods from becoming what we are witnessing today, a community that richly deserves this investment. So let us continue to work together, united in our mission to provide equitable housing and uplift communities. Together, we can ensure that every Chicagoan has access to safe, decent, and affordable housing, paving the way to a brighter future. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to ask Representative from U.S. Rep. Danny Davis's office, Willie Burton.
Good morning. My name is Willie Burton. I'm from the office of Congressman Danny K. Davis. Unfortunately, the congressman couldn't be here today because he's in Washington, D.C., dealing with issues on behalf of the constituents in the 7th Congressional District. But we all know that the congressman, one of his number one priorities and initiative is housing. Housing for the disabled, for our seniors, and just affordable housing in general. So we're really excited to be here today to see that the North Lawndale community could benefit from such a project. And we also get to see some of the advantages of being in an opportunity zone. So like I said, we're hoping that more projects like this can be generated throughout the city of Chicago. We'd like to thank all the contributors, and let's repeat this. Thank you.
One step ahead of you, Mr. Burton, with the groundbreaking planned later today. Next, I'd like to ask the Executive Director of IDA, Ms. Kristen Faust.
Thank you, Jeff, and good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm Kristen Faust of IDA, and my thank yous will come at the end. At first, I want to share a story. So early in my career, I spent a lot of time in this neighborhood. Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago had a neighborhood office here called Marshall Square Douglas Park. The NHS office was in part funded by Mount Sinai Hospital, at that time led by the indomitable Ruth Rothstein and her very committed community affairs person, Jay Canna. It was also in part funded by Ryerson Steel, who still had an active facility in this neighborhood. The NHS office, however, was mostly powered by the neighborhood residents. Residents who lived in homes they owned, residents who lived as renters in CHA housing. They raised their children together, they raised their voices together to get better services and more neighborhood investment. They came together and worked side by side really hard to make this neighborhood a good place to raise your children in and a good place to grow old in. It was quite a privilege to be invited and welcomed into this community. I was the young downtown banker who was there to provide some guidance on how to make the rehab loans to the homeowners that the neighborhood board decided on. But they were the ones that taught me. The residents I met were what most people would just call regular people, but they were incredible people. There was Mrs. Menchaca and Reverend Rosita Henry. One Latina, one African American, one a homeowner, one a CHA resident. Both raised their children here, cared deeply about their community and each other. And I learned so much from them as they worked with their neighbors to identify solutions and to get a shared vision of what this neighborhood needed. They built community gardens. They facilitated lots of single-family rehab loans through the NHS office. And there was the first new construction 30 years ago in the neighborhood was new homes for Chicago, and those single-family homes you still see interspersed on California and through this neighborhood today. That was their work. They weren't just doing it for themselves, they were doing it for their neighbors, their children, and people they didn't even know who would come after them. And they also left another legacy of civic leadership. Some of you may know Francisco Menchaca, who was a downtown banker and now is a colleague over at the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation, or Vance Henry, who has worked for the City of Chicago Mayor's Office, the Police Department, I believe worked for the Alderman also at one point, is now with Innovise. Both of these men are civic leaders in their own right, and guess who their mothers were? Strong women raising strong men. These are the kinds of everyday people, the kinds of incredible people that Chicago neighborhoods are full of, that North Lawndale is full of, and it's these people that this housing was created for. Today, Ryerson Steel is gone, but Cinespace is here. Today, Ruth Rothstein has passed on, but Sinai is still here with an amazing civic leader at the head, with Dr. Ezike, my former colleague, I'm proud to say, at the helm. And today, CHA housing is still here, but it is transformed housing. There's a quote, "We are all warmed by fires we did not build." IDA staff, the IDA board, and Governor Pritzker are all so pleased to be a major financial part of these two housing developments today we're celebrating. We have incredible partners in Habitat, the CHA, the City of Chicago, Bank of America. So honored to be on the stage with the mayor. But today, I really want to thank Mrs. Menchaca and Reverend Rosita Henry. We couldn't have gotten here without them.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Kristen made an important note that this is a former CHA development site. The Lawndale Complex and Ogden Courts were once here, and we're so happy to have CHA be a major part of this development. And I'd like to introduce Tracy Scott, CEO of CHA.
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning. I'm Tracy Scott, and I'm the CEO of the Chicago Housing Authority. And on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, represented by Commissioner Deborah Parker here, as well as our entire team at CHA, we are really, really, really excited about being here. And I would like to acknowledge certainly our strong partner in Mayor Brandon Johnson, Alderman Jason Irvin, other elected officials, including Senator Collins, the Chicago Department of Housing, and the HUD, which we haven't heard mentioned today, who is represented here by the Field Office Director for Illinois, Kimberly Dana. So thank you for being here. So as you know, and as we've talked about, none of these things happen in isolation. No government agency, no private, it's those public-private, like I say, public-private, public-public-public partnerships that it takes to make all of these things happen. And it's also important to have stakeholders and strong anchors like Mount Sinai as a development partner and a major tenant, because they truly represent the strong community with a hospital and facilities that are just across the street, really just across the parking lot there. So I'd like to thank also, and not certainly last but not least, Habitat for taking on this project. And then lastly, the CHA team that works very hard on this deal. I get to stand up here and make all the comments, but I want to say their names for the record because it doesn't always happen. So our development team is led by the Chief of Development, Ann McKenzie, Lee Prater, Anthony Alvarez. I also see some of our lawyers in the house, Pam Cash and Kenny Rucker, so thank you for being here and for the work that you do. Okay. So we're standing on this morning on the site of the former Lawndale Complex in Ogden Courts East, with the rare opportunity for this double milestone of a ribbon cutting on the first phase and a groundbreaking on the second phase. And that is just truly extraordinary. As you can see, the first phase is a beautiful addition to this community, representing 92 homes for families, including 37 apartments for families from CHA's waiting list. And meanwhile, the second phase, okay, Ms. Lyman, you can clap. The second phase will add also another 57 affordable subsidized homes here in Ogden Commons. But this is what at CHA I would call Thursday, because this is the mission work that we do every single day, building sustainable mixed-use, mixed-income communities like Ogden Commons, where we are rebuilding that village, where everybody has a stake, where they feel that they belong. Last year, with our partners, we delivered more than 1,000 new apartments across the city. Right, thank you. I'm going to take Ms. Lyman everywhere I go. And this year, there are more than 1,000 apartments that are currently under construction or have already been delivered. One of those is not far from here, which is Grace Manor, just down the street, where we'll be adding hundreds more homes across the city. As I said, this is about giving people more security and stability of long-term affordable housing in strong communities with resources like access to health care, jobs, services, green space, retail, all those things that make strong communities. Yes, peace of mind. Thank you. I'll add that to my speech next time. And we're also renovating apartments across the city. So it's about also preserving what we have that's affordable as well as adding new. And so I'd like to close by acknowledging and thanking the most important people in the room, Ms. Lyman, and other residents at CHA. Because while our mission is to create and sustain strong communities where families can unlock their economic power and thrive, families are our why, the reason that we do this work. And with this project and others, we are excited to welcome you to your new home. And our commitment to this is unwavering, and so we really look forward to this project, the next phase, and the next project down the street, and so on, that we can contribute to creating affordable home ownership opportunities in strong communities throughout Chicago. So to Habitat, congratulations. To all the other partners, thank you for having us.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm really excited to introduce our next guest because back in, I think, 2018, we went into his office with a big idea on a blank piece of paper, more or less, and talked about building new housing, new office buildings, new medical space, new retail, and we've had so much support from him from day one. Alderman Irvin, we're so glad you could be here today.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank everyone for making this day a reality. About 22, 23, actually a little longer than that. As I joined up in the 28th Ward Democratic Organization, Ogden Courts in this Lawndale complex was part of the ward. I had never been in public housing in my life. Alderman Smith and the precinct captain over, his name was Fred, and his wife Yvette. We walked through these buildings, and what we saw was not something that I would be proud to say that I was a part of. Fast forward, even though it took us a while to get to this day, it is a day definitely worth celebrating. One of the challenges that I tell people this, while I live in Garfield Park, my family is actually from the North Lawndale community. And part of that is the strength and the resilience, and my mother and father both went to Farragut High School, so when you start talking about North Lawndale, it's something that's been ingrained in me since a child. And it's something that I believe has been an integral portion of the West Side of Chicago, and an integral portion of the work and the activism to bring us to days like today from the West Side of Chicago. And so as part of what we do here on the West Side of Chicago, and I'm going to dovetail into why I think it's important that we have people who understand and know what it's like to live in the communities in which they serve. Now, I'm fortunate enough to have two good partners. I had one partner and when I had to go find another one. And these are my two members of the legislature that are here from the North Lawndale community that have helped and served and continue to serve us, Senator Collins and Representative Morris. Let's give them a hand. And I'll tell you how important it is, because when the senator vacated her seat to become her representative seat to become senator, there were two things that I said had to happen. Number one is that somebody's going to represent this community must be from the West Side, and number two, they need to be from North Lawndale, because this portion of this district that runs similar to the 28th Ward, we represent some of the most challenged communities, but we also represent some of the most prosperous communities. And with that, we must make sure that we take care of the needs of the least of those that live in our communities. And this is part of that mission work that the CHA and also Dr. Ezike talked about. Now, this area here, and I mentioned this is the largest job generator on the West Side of Chicago between Mount Sinai Hospital and Center Space Film Studios, and the needs that they create about having affordable, accessible workforce housing and replacement housing for CHA residents has always been top of mind. And that meeting that we had was actually right over here at Center Space. Even they have done so well that they actually forced me out to move somewhere else. But again, it's about the work and the prosperity. They talked about Ryerson still becoming something out of the ashes, and that is now what we see today with Center Space and the Sinai complex. And again, when we think about Ogden Courts and we think about the challenges that it's facing, to see what we have today, it is an amazing feat that could not have been done without all of the partners here on stage with us and the residents of this community. And my final note before I go, I really want to thank McHugh and Boa for making this truly a community project. as this rolled down, we always want to make sure that we have community involvement, and we have involvement not only at the end of the project, but throughout the project and the economic prosperity that it brings to the table. And I'll say this, and I'm going to close, that as the west side of Chicago rises, the city of Chicago rises with it. And it's so, and we're rising so far that I say this, and it's actually interesting, that all three of our citywide elected officials live on the west side of Chicago. Two of them happen to live in the 28th Ward, being our clerk, and one happens to sleep next to me on a nightly basis, and my wife, the city treasurer. But not too far down the road, not too far down the road, in the Austin community, which is, and this ironic, I think I've lived in every community on the west side. Being I was in Austin, I lived in North Lawndale, and now I'm in Garfield Park. But again, our true partner in all of this, in creating and continue to create not only what we've done today, but what we will do tomorrow, the Mayor of the City of Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson.
I just told the alderman, thanks for clarifying who he sleeps next to every night. And in my Seinfeld voice, not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, well, good morning, everyone. Isn't it a great opportunity for the city of Chicago to experience the best side, which is the, yes, there we go. So I'm glad to be here today in this grand opening, as well as a groundbreaking for Ogden Commons. Thank you, Alderman Irvin, for your leadership, and thank you for lifting up our state rep and our state senator. I actually think it's a real powerful testament to this moment in our city's history to have two individuals who not only reflect and imbibe the true essence of who we are as a city, but they've done that work before they were elected officials. And these are individuals that were part of making sure that there was child care and that it was affordable for people, and child care workers were being protected, but also making sure that seniors are supported and protected, and the work that goes along with providing care for our elderly. And these two sisters really imbibe the true essence of what I call the soul of Chicago. So thank you both for your leadership, and to our Housing Commissioner, Lisette Castaneda, thank you, our CHA CEO, Tracy Scott. Thank you all for your leadership and your contributions to what obviously is a very vibrant community. Of course, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the site developers, Ogden Commons JV LLC, of course the Habitat community, Mount Sinai Hospital Medical Center of Chicago, the Lawndale Real Estate Company. And you know, being here in this moment, I can't help but just reflect on our history. Descendants of slaves, after the Civil War ended, there were 5 clear demands: housing, healthcare, education, jobs, transportation. I'm adding a friendly amendment to make sure that we have environmental justice. This project literally represents the fullness of what descendants of slaves have been calling for generations. And to be a part of a community, and particularly the healthcare, I just, Mount Sinai has a very special place in me and the First Lady's life, because we had some of our early care with our first son. In fact, the ultrasound was done at Mount Sinai Hospital. And when you get a chance to see life, and the light shined on your wife's womb, and Owen, who was almost 17 years old, and he took off running in the womb, I'll never forget that moment. But that type of health care is being provided for families across this city. And so thank you, Mount Sinai, Dr. Ezike, for your leadership and your bravery. So look, the development team, of course, has already been articulated, selected in 2017 to lead this redevelopment and to provide real life into this complex. Thank you to this team for their work and their vision. You know, Jeff, when you mentioned that there was a blank piece of paper in front of Alderman Irvin with the hope and the idea that something like this would come to fruition. It's so vital to have individuals who are tethered to the community and understand how to make vision come alive. And to be a part of this A1 ribbon cutting and then moving into the groundbreaking phase of A2, this is what it takes for us to see these type of developments come alive. And so delivering 92 housing units and including 46 affordable units, 37 units that will receive real assistance from CHA's rental assistance demonstration program. That is what it really takes to build better, stronger, safer communities. It takes all of us. And I had the pleasure to tour OC Living phase earlier today and had a chance to meet some of the residents. And the name escapes me now. I'm just gonna say the individual with that sharp suit. I could never pull that outfit off, by the way. But if you just mess with me, I just might try it. Jeffrey, let's just say that. You say, Jeffrey got one of them third term outfits on, right? I asked Jeffrey, I said, how long you been working there? He said 9 years. I'm like, well, that's why he can dress like that. But thank you all. But this is really about reversing the legacy of disinvestment. And that's really what is the core of our work. My administration believes that every single human need is a human right, and especially when it comes to housing. And furthermore, we believe that housing is crucially necessary to achieve safety and equity and vitality for people. And that's why we secured the $1.25 billion investment to support development like this. In fact, that investment for neighborhood and economic development that our Department of Planning and Development and Housing will administer, it's the largest single investment for economic and neighborhood development in the history of Chicago, and we're just getting started. So finally, I'm proud to share that the city has invested $9 million into the Ogden Commons Phase A2 project that we are breaking ground on today. $9 million for this next phase. And then with our TIF funds, we will contribute 23% of the project's total development costs with the City of Chicago's TIF funds. So these investments are critical because it's going to deliver more residential homes for North Lawndale. It's going to provide more CHA support for 27 more affordable units. Look, I could go on, but we're here to cut a ribbon. I think it's quite apropos that this moment is happening in this community. Yeah. You know, because when Dr. King visited the city of Chicago, he became a resident of the West Side, more specifically North Lawndale. And he came here a generation ago and said that if we can figure it out in Chicago, we can do it anywhere in the world. And so the world is upon us. I'll close with this since everybody gave profound quotes. You know, the words of the great voice, as well as my Savior, Jesus the Christ. He said that foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man or too many people have nowhere to lay their head. He also said that where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And so I'm grateful to Mr. Habitat, who imbibes this understanding. That's how he was introduced to me. They said he's Mr. Habitat. There he is. He imbibes, I believe, what is absolute holy about this project, that his treasure as well as heart is aligned, and that people who did not have a place to lay their head, and for too many people who have been insecure when it comes to being able to lay their head, that we are now fulfilling not just the hope of the prophetic words of Dr. King, but we are fulfilling the hopes and aspirations of something bigger than ourselves. So God bless you, God bless this project, and God bless the greatest freaking city in the world, the city of Chicago.
Thank you, Lord. Really appreciate it. So glad you could be here. That concludes the program. Angie, could you help get us assembled for the ribbon cutting and the groundbreaking?